YouTube. How's everybody doing? Not to be exactly Johnny come late, but I figured I would go through here and start a build here myself on one for a customer. So we're building a 300 amp power supply. And the reason why is because of the fact buffer that's built into this. So that's the reason why we're going to use 4, even though it's a 300 amp power supply. So I've already went ahead and went in and did the modifications to these. I'm going to go back and double check everything one at a time before I actually complete the entire process here. So, but what I wanted to do was actually get some of the layout done. And one of the things that I've been really watching is how people have been mounting these. And mine is going to be kind of a hybrid as far as that goes from what everybody else has been doing. Try to get this camera back out of the way. Good evening, Mr. Three Maid. Hello, Bruce. No, you did not win the power supply. But one of the things that I'm going to show you guys, like I said, everybody's been putting straps, clamps, and everything else. Unfortunately, mine is going to be a hybrid, mainly because there's only so much you can do with this. Now, I've sat down and I've looked at these now for 2 weeks. And one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take off these handles. Then I'm going to explain there is about 3 different ways you can do this. I chose the method that I'm going to use because it will take close to the least amount of time. It'll still take more time than most, but not as much, not as much as it could if I did it the original way that I had intended, mainly because of how much time it takes in regards to the power supplies. So one of the first things I'm going to do, as you're probably already noticing, let me empty this out here, is I'm going to take these handles off. And I'll show you why here in just a moment. I know everybody else has been leaving these handles on, and in a lot of ways, it would be a great idea to leave them on, but not for the purpose we've got. So, I know Three Mate, he always likes watching me build power supplies because I do mine just a little different than most everybody else. And I actually started doing some of the unusual build with them. Even though it may not look unusual to some, it is. For example, one of the first ones that I actually started this idea with all stems back to an 800 amp power supply that I built for Mr. 541. So what it was one day I was trying to figure out a specific layout that would allow me to have access to each individual module. So, well, hello, Gary. Yeah. I'm not going to be in here long, guys, only about 45 minutes to maybe an hour total. But let me go ahead and set a few of these off. So now we can actually get to the point where I can actually explain what I'm doing. Now, I couldn't sleep whenever I got home this evening, or this morning, I should say. This evening's when I'm awake. Anyways, so I couldn't sleep, so I came out here, and I'd already had this in my mind because of where I'd been looking at these. Okay, once you remove the handles, you actually have a nice, rigid, solid tab. So each one of these modules is going to have one solid mount. Now, granted, that means the front end can do this and what have you, but it's still it's still stable, and it's still going to be solid. You know, I've seen people do stick down tape. I've seen people do, like I said, huge straps across the things, mounting bars, what have you. Even my mounting bar is going to be a little bit different. So, but anyways, those tabs, I'm actually going to use those. And I know you don't have to have any room. Try to lay these two here out. But because of the bulk of the fan, um, my layout is going to increase, is going to give me just a little bit of room here. And reason why is because of the fact that I still want an air gap, because there's going to be a fan in this cabinet. That air gap, since it uses the actual case of the power supply as the heat sink, I want to increase the actual airflow. So anytime you actually create a small little valley like this in between your supplies, you actually allow heat by way of convection to actually rise up. So, since there's actually going to be a fan in here, I'll actually have a small amount of circulation on the outside as well. Granted, it does have fans inside, but that's not the whole point. Now, with the layout here, like I said, you're probably already starting to see some of this come into be, and there's going to be more of a gap in between the next two modules. So I'll actually be able to get along with this fairly close or fairly quick, but I wanted to show you guys, kind of why everything is the way it is. Now, granted, like I said, this whole back end I don't have to worry about because it's going to have actual screws bolting these down. But on the top, and I've got another one already started because I forgot to take into consideration the extra two screws, or studs rather, that's going to be in there. So anyways, so there is going to be a clamp that's going to go across the front end of this to hold this down, but it's going to look a lot different than everybody else's. It's going to do exactly the same, but it's going to look different. The reason why I say that is because I'm using a piece of channel iron. That way, when I put it down, I'm going to have spots that are going to be able to make sure that I get a good bite. Like so, this is actually going to have 3. If I added more, I could still go ahead and put one more off to the side if I wanted to here, and just extend the clamp, and I wouldn't have to drill any extra holes. But I am actually going to do an overkill on this and actually do 3. So there again, overkill, but I will never ever have to worry about it either as far as going anywhere. Good evening, Popcorn. I see you popped in there too. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, let's get this stuff here off to the side for the moment. Sorry guys, I'm bumping the camera. And sometimes I just can't quite get this camera back far enough. All righty. So let's get these holes here drilled. And then I'm going to go ahead and drill these, but I got to get the other little particulates for that. Because again, this is even going to look different than what you've been seeing everybody else do. All right, so 632. Push it chair out of the way. Of course, I'll be wishing I was staying on my butt. All right, so actually I already got these spot drilled. All right. Need to know what size holes I need to drill for these others, so bear with me here. Nope, everything is paid for. If you would like, I am doing a live YouTube video now, if you'd like to tune in. All right. Let me get the calipers here. Okay, 350 thousandths. So that is going to be under the 3/8. Should be this one. I'll measure it here real quick. Yep. Actually, before I get crazy here, I think I'm going to use the step bit instead. Okay. Since the other bit, I know I was going to start kind of cutting a nasty hole since this is so thin. I get so used to thinking about the diameter than I am anything else. Well, hello, Mr. B. Hello, Terry. All right. Now we'll get them out to size. Yep, one more size. That's what it should be, but always best to under drill it because you can always go bigger. You never put the you never put the material back in the hole once you cut it. Make sure inserts go in there. Okay. Beautiful. Wunderbar. Now, because of the size of the cabinet that we're using, he's still going to have plenty of room if he wants to upgrade this. He'll actually be able to put about 3 more modules in here with the layout that I've chose. So that's actually a really good thing. And I'm going to leave that little corner there because that's got my notes on there as far as my orientation. And the fact that I've got it laid out where I know which way is up. Quite literally. All right. So let me... I don't have this loaded yet with the right bit. I actually just got this in the other day. I've been wanting one of these for a few years, and you know the prices have really come down on them. So I went ahead and ordered one of these off of Amazon for about the same price that you could go to Harbor Freight and get this same tool. You know, but I've often thought to myself, you know, hey, that'd be a neat tool, but nah, I didn't really see a use for it. And then, you know, along came these power supplies, and well, here we are. So, got to figure out which bit it is. Huh, couldn't be any luckier. One of these, don't remember which one. That should be the metric. Yeah. Okay. So it didn't come with a case like I had hoped, because some of these do actually come with a case. Let's see here. I'm using HP 600 watt server power supply for the past 4 years. Not a problem. Holds voltage. Yeah. Yeah. The only thing that I've ever ran across as far as with using the server power supplies, and I used one for many, many years, several years ago, and I actually had one fail on me. And that's part of the reason why this one's actually going to have, for a 300 amp power supply, this is actually going to have 4 modules in it. And it's because of the fact that there's, once you hit, and like here on the bench, I actually had a 150 amp that I built, and it didn't hold up, mainly because of the fact that I was constantly pushing it, to the limit all the time. So most of that actually, it was just more than what the supply could handle for long durations. So now you got to pull the one piece out. I was actually hoping that they would show. Yeah, sliding sleeve, yeah, changing the mandrel. Push down the sliding, pushing and hold, rotate the mandrel and remove it. Huh, okay. But I didn't get any tool with it, did I? Yeah, I did. Huh. Aha. I see, said the blind man. Yeah, so this is the inaugural use of this tool. Oh yeah, that's going to be awesome. Yeah, I actually looked at those online as far as those breakout boards. Um, Eventually, I will get around to buying one of those because I am actually quite curious. Um, I've seen those, and I think if nothing else, I think it'll be a great way to be able to test them. So, and the boards are not that expensive. That may go into that may go into a whole nother animal as far as with what we wind up doing here, as far as using one of those boards. What I was looking for was something similar to those. But I was looking for something that I would be able to plug multiple modules into. So, alrighty. Sweet. I think they said that one was the 6mm. Isn't it? I know that one's supposed to be metric. Nope, M8. Okay. So let's go ahead before I wind up losing any of these. Let's go ahead and put that. Yeah, they've got these that'll go up even larger, which this one's huge. I mean, it goes up huge. I mean, it goes up to an M12, I think a ½ inch. The main thing that I liked about it, that's the reason why I specifically ordered this one. It goes down to a 632, 1032, which these are probably the most common. And I would have actually went with like a 1032. However, nobody in town had the rod that I wanted. So I went ahead and bought the rod for a 1/4 20. So we're actually going to use 1/4 20 for this one. So mainly just because of the fact that it was going to take at least a week for me to get the other stuff in, and I really wanted to try to get some of this done. Again, it's way overkill, but I'll never have to worry about this thing moving either. So let's set these off to the side. Drill out of the way. Let's get some nuts. Nah. So one of the most common screws in my shop is a 632. So I use 632s for just about everything. See if I can get that drill bit on there without looking. Sometimes it's easier just to turn your head over and look under there. All right. So I'll go back and tighten those down really good once I've got everything all figured out as far as what I want and how I want and all that good stuff. But we're just fitting everything together. And I could probably even use, these are 3/8, and I think I've even got some shorter ones. I think I've got some that's 5/16. I know I've got some that are quarter, but those are used for the service breakers. We're going to tighten them down just enough to where we can still slip and slide and move. Now this power supply is not going to be shipped, so technically once I tighten these down, especially if I'd use like a small piece of adhesive, I could actually put a small piece of adhesive on the front and this thing would still never move, especially if it's just staying local. But usually when I try to build things, I try to build them in the format of, you know, these things always being shipped. So I think that's one of the other things too some people do forget when they're building these is it must be stable enough that it can be shipped without being moved, shifted, or out of anything coming out of place. So I seen one here the other day that a guy was building. I don't think he was a regular builder. I think he was just just somebody that was building it for himself. And he'd put all these down with just adhesive tape. Again, if it's never going to leave your shop, you can get by with that. All right. So again, these are still just loose enough that I can move them around just a hair. Okay. So let's get in the right drawer. The other nice thing about this is, like I said, you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to worry about them falling off. Like I said, everything will be stabilized a lot more, and everything will be tight once we're all finalized. But there you are. Modules that technically you don't have to do anything with. You started day shift today. Well, congratulations. Yeah, your body will hate you for a couple of months probably. Well, thank you, King. I appreciate it. All righty. So let's get some measurements here. We know what size rod. I'm just going to use this since I'll use this for something else a little later. And let's see, where are the others? For more of a finished look, we're going to use acorn nuts. That'll look a whole lot better than just a regular nut sitting on top of it. All right. So we need to be under 4 1/8 is what we're looking at. Boy, that thing's starting to get some weight to it already. This is my new vise I ordered here, about 6 months ago too. I thought it was pretty cool. You know, it's got a little slop in it, but it's got a lot of good uses too. A small little V groove in it. Thought I had that moved over just enough where I can get into my cabinet here. Yeah. It's a good one, but a bad one at the same time there, early. A new vise. Oh, Lord. Speaking of credit, where credit is due, this next tool, even though it is a Harbor Freight special, I do have to thank my friend Mr. Three Made for this. I've got a air-powered version out in the garage, but it's not the greatest, but it does work pretty good for in here. Chicago Tools, but it's a body saw, and this thing works great for out here in the shop. I wish it had a variable speed. That's the only thing that I really wish it had. Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, it's just one speed. It's great, but only sucks because, like I said, there's only one speed to this thing. Okay. This next one just a hair shorter. I only got 2 more of these to cut anyways. Yeah, it's pretty noisy, but man, does it make life so much easier. I'll take these out to the garage when I get home this morning or in the morning, and I'll trim up and I'll polish the ends and stuff where we've got some nice threads. But yeah, I've actually got a Milwaukee a Milwaukee hacksaw, as they call it. It's a sawzall, but it's a Milwaukee version. I do have that, but it is variable, but it's bulky. And depending on what you're cutting with it, it does get a little squirrely. Especially whenever you go to cut out for like the volt and amp meters. Huge, huge disadvantage. Where that, because it's got such a small blade, works great. And I got plenty of rod left. You just bite yours. Yeah, my big butt. Yeah, I never thought of that, but yeah, that's a possibility. That's my microphone here. Sometimes I just clip that on my pocket instead of actually on my belt. All right. Since that one's still got a factory end on it. Like I said, I've got another one of these. I've just got to cut the end of it off just a little bit. All right. Yeah, so I don't know that it's going to start. Yeah, it did. But essentially, that's what we're going to have. Like I said, it's going to go all the way across. I've got another one of these. I've just got to cut. I've got everything drilled where they need to be. I just got to get a little bit longer version. Like I said, it's already marked out. Holes are drilled for it. Just got to cut it off. But since it's on a 6-foot piece, I figured I'd wait and do that off camera. But anyhow, so we got that part all squared away as well. But no, I thought you guys might like the idea, the fact that, these are, it's actually going to have studs down here. So even the bottom's going to look a lot cleaner. Having something that's semi-flush here versus, nuts and washers and all that good stuff down here at the bottom. The other nice thing is too is once these are installed, I'll actually be able to back these rods up just a little bit, trim them down, and I'll put a little bit of Loctite on them, and then that way they'll stay right in place, and I don't have to worry about them being screwed down too far. So, but yeah, like I said, even the bottom's going to look nice. All right. But in and amongst the time that I'm supposed to be sleeping, I'm going to slip out here and try to get some of this stuff done. All right. What in the world did you say? You just bite mine. My luck. I'd get the gay version. Uh, one thing's for sure, 3. You definitely keep people entertained. Sure, I'm right on the size of the hole, but I'll go back and double check myself here. So this one is going to be wired to 220. Now that is one of the other nice things about these power supplies, um, is the fact that they automatically know. Yeah, yeah. So 625. So yeah, 5/8. So they automatically know whenever you hook in either 110 or 220 to these. Obviously, this one's going to be ran on 220 amps, but kind of like the Meanwell power supplies that I've used in the past, um, it's really pretty awesome in the fact that it senses and it knows just exactly what voltage is coming into it. So there's no switches to flip or anything like that. Yes, I know I could actually drill that out with the step bit, but I always did like taking this one particular hole, cutting it out this way. And part of that has to do with the fact that I know I don't have to worry about over drilling it. Because where this aluminum is so soft, there's times, especially when you start getting a really big hole, it's really easy to overshoot it. Beautiful. Deburr those holes and we'll be ready to go. Then the real fun begins. I've got part of it laid out as far as my center line here and where I want the top to actually lay out here. And then once I get this all drilled and finished, I'm actually going to give this a light sanding on the front, and this whole plate is actually going to be black when we're actually done with this. So, alrighty, guys. I'm actually going to stop right here because it is 9:03, and I will need to be leaving for work here in the next minutes. So, guys, I appreciate it. How many do you think we can do? 110, 5? Well, yes and no. You're still going to be limited because on those modules early, I'm sure it's been a while since you've looked at them. And where a few people have done some different testing on them, it's kind of nice because of the fact that we can go back and look at other people's videos as well. But let's see here, output, input voltage at 100 volts, that's saying 9.3. So at 120, conservatively, we'll say 9 amps. So, you're looking at 9, 18, 21 amps on 3 of them. So 3 modules, you could run this on 110. But like I said, it'd have to be a dedicated 110 line. But even at that, you're probably going to go ahead and keep this out once you go, especially if you go beyond 3. So, like I said, conservatively, since they've got this rated at 100 volts, we'll go up to 120. So let's say we'll lose the 0.3 amps, 300 milliamps per, and just do 9 amps per. Like I said, that's still 21 amps of AC current that it's going to take just to run 3 of these, at the 75 amps. So, yeah, I mean, you can, but you're not going to get the full load out of the modules. So that's one of the pitfalls to that. One of the things that I have seen on these, they are kind of hungry, but there again, if you look at the 30 and 40 amp modules that we've been using for years, and I still like using those, even though they take up a lot of real estate. This gentleman here, he's very limited on space, so that's part of the other reason why we're using these instead of the other modules. But yeah, 3 is probably going to be your max. Generally speaking, I tell people 250 amp supply at our 12 volts, even though we're running typically at 14 or 14.5. Some are running them up as high as 15 volts. You also have to remember, you're still going to have a small drop down once you hit a certain amperage. You're going to have a drop down on your voltage. So I really don't see the need in going above, much above the 15, 15.5. These modules here, I've got them set at 14.6. That's where they seem to settle in at. So, that's where this supply is going to be made at. But anyways, guys, I appreciate it. Hello, Bus. I see you popped in there. I'm glad your power supply is working out awesome. So, yeah, I was actually going to give you a message here the other day and forgot and got caught up. Wanted to make sure that you actually received yours. But anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go do my work thing. And then I'll come back, eat some dinner, talk to the wife, and maybe sneak out here in the morning. But anyhow, guys, I appreciate it. Like I said, got quite a bit done as far as before work and after work this morning. So, like I said, we've got, our cutout for the overload on the front or breaker. That's the other thing too, is they get on to me for calling these breakers. They're overloads at work. They don't want to call them breakers for some reason. But anyhow, um, we got that taken care of. We've got the main body as far as the modules mounted down, and all of our holes and stuff set up for our clamps. So we're pretty good, pretty good shape. All right, guys, take care. I really appreciate it. Have a great evening. Gary, hopefully I'll catch you in there a little bit more often too. I'm going to try to start doing some before I go to work if I can get up early enough. Um, Such as the case today, I did. So, anyways, enjoy your guys' evening, and we will catch you on the next live feed.